What's up, YouTube? It's Josh Creates here with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about TikTok bans about tax crisis in the US. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Proof we are all being played.
I get up at 4:45 in the morning and I don't see a sign of the government anywhere. Every single day for 8.5 hours, I exchange my time for labor. I don't see the government anywhere, except for on Thursdays. Thursdays I get my paycheck. That's when the government shows up. That's when they feel they are entitled to split half of the currency I made for trading my time, my skills, my labor. This goes on throughout the year, where I'm responsible to keep records of all of this. At the end of the year, it's my responsibility to prepare all that documentation for them to review it. They then determine if their cut was large enough. If I don't meet their schedule, I face fines, fees, or the threat of being locked up in one of their cells. I guess some people call this taxation, but it doesn't meet my definition. To me, that sounds a lot more like fraud, embezzlement, and fucking slavery. I think it's long past due that we all stop participating in this.
That was a good one. That was a good video. I'm not going to lie. When I'm ready to pay, when I prepare my tax, oh, it's like nerve-wracking for some reason. Comment down below if you feel the same.
Let me just say something. I'm really sick of this shit, okay? Because I just got a new job about a month ago. Previously, I was making $65,000 a year. Yeah, it's okay for some, but it was never enough money for me. So I got a new job. Now I'm making $85,000 a year. I got my first paycheck, and I was like, what the hell is this? But I was like, okay, maybe something's wrong. Let me wait for the next paycheck. I got the next paycheck, and it was even less than the previous one. So I went to my HR manager and I had a meeting with her, and I'm like, is the IRS garnishing me? Because I know I owe $2,000 to the IRS. But she was like, no, the IRS is not garnishing me. We went over my paycheck. We went over, like, everything I filled out, and everything was correct. The government is taxing me $700-800 per pay period. And I have 2 dependents. I mean, what? And then she's going to tell me, well, did you have a huge increase in your pay rate or the salary that you're making here than you did at your previous job? And I was like, yes. She's like, oh, well, sweetie.
Well, I don't know why I cut off right there, but it just seemed like she was now getting into it. But I guess it seems like, her HR was telling her, yeah, since you got a pay raise, they put you in a better or another tax bracket where they have to deduct more money out of your taxes or expect more money out of your taxes.
Numerous ideas have been tossed around over the past few weeks on ways the city and state can do more to support migrants, especially as the city is potentially staring down a $12 billion budget hole due to costs associated with housing and feeding migrants. The latest idea, raising taxes on the wealthy to help make up for some of these costs.
I would absolutely be over the moon if they called back a special session to raise taxes on the rich.
Senator Jabari Brisport and 19 other Democratic Socialist lawmakers all wrote a letter blasting the city and state's response to the migrant crisis. The letter outlines numerous ways the city, state, and federal government can all step up to provide resources. One proposal on the state level is to increase taxes on the top 5% of New Yorkers to help pay for homeless and migrant services.
New York is the most unequal state with the most billionaires in it, and they do not pay what they owe to the rest of us in New York. So raising their taxes to fund social services for all New Yorkers.
Some of the other proposals include expanding the right to shelter mandates so that every county in New York is required to house migrants, and using the Economic Uncertainties Fund, which has currently amassed more than $13 billion. Senator Brisport said he would be supportive of a special session that would call lawmakers back to Albany to deal with the crisis, a move that so far legislative leaders are not jumping on.
I think that if we don't put forth a positive vision, then the people who want to divide us will create a strong narrative and get those in elections. People who will start to point at asylum seekers and saying, it's them versus us, or other ways to
Your employer is not the problem. The amount of money that you make an hour is not the problem. I'm going to tell you what your problem is, and I think it's going to blow your mind because I haven't seen anyone on TikTok talking about this at all. So watch to the end and tell me your thoughts. In 1929, when we hit the Great Depression, and yes, in my opinion, times are worse than the Great Depression right now. In 1929, when we hit the Great Depression, if you made $1,000 of wages, you walked away with roughly $990 after you paid income tax. Now, there was no payroll tax at the time, so your employer paid out $1,000 and you walked away with $990. I think that's fair. The government got a little bit of money, everyone's happy. Fast forward to 2023. For that same $1,000 of income that you get, you're walking away, depending on your tax bracket, with, around $750. And to make matters worse, as your employer, I am paying $1,250 roughly in Social Security, unemployment, workers' comp, etc. So I have to pay out $1,250. You're getting $750. The government, in one fashion or another, is making $500 off of you working. Now listen, I pay about $80,000 to $90,000 a month in payroll, and my employees are walking away with about $50,000 to $55,000, which means for my little company, they're making $30,000 off of me alone each month. I have 3 companies. We don't have a lot of employees when everything's said and done, We're no Walmart. We're no, Target. We're no major company, right? We don't have hundreds of employees, right? If we didn't have to pay these taxes, if the federal government's like, we're doing away with payroll taxes and you're going to pay a flat 10% income tax, right? You could give yourself a 30 to 35% raise. And if you gave yourself a 30 to 35% raise of what you're currently making, could you live off of that? Or could you at least live better on that? Because I sure as hell can. Don't even get me started on self-employment taxes. But as my W-2 employees, I know for my employees, there are employees that I have that I am paying out each month about $4,000 on their behalf, and they are taking home somewhere in the neighborhood of like $2,800 a month. So the government's making $1,200. If they had an extra $1,200 a month, they'd be doing well. I don't think your employer is the problem. I think the government is. Share your thoughts.
Wow, that's a good explanation.
What's the rough cost to American taxpayers since the roughly 4 million people have come into this country illegally since January of 2021, as those people show up in community hospitals, as they enter the school system, as they get other government help? Do you have a taxpayer cost?
Let me turn that question around a little bit, because I'm going to turn it around to match the question that an international partner asked of me. And the question that the international partner asked of me is, what is the economic cost of your broken immigration system? Since there are businesses around this country that are desperate for workers.
Come on, man.
There are desperate workers looking for jobs.
Answer the question.
Desperate workers in foreign countries that are looking for jobs in the United States where they can earn money lawfully and send much needed remittances back home.
So trillions.
What is the cost of a broken immigration system? That is the question that.
Shout out to the girl for like understanding, but see, these politicians, dog, they're not understanding. They're not they're not living amongst immigrants. They don't see what us regular people see. That's crazy, man. This man does not understand.
Here's how the system works. You pay taxes to the government pools that money and uses it to provide the people with essential goods and services that they need. In this country, we've got a different system for getting the things we need. Take healthcare. We pay taxes to the government, and the government gives our money to a middleman, for-profit insurance companies or for-profit health providers. And the insurance companies provide health coverage in exchange for maybe some more money from us, and a deductible that covers not everything, certainly not your teeth or your skin or your eyes. It's a pretty good system if you own an insurance company. Companies like United Health and Aetna collect 70% of their health plan revenue from government programs. Humana, 90%. These health plan businesses would not exist without our tax money. And it's not just healthcare. It's pharma, oil and gas, higher education. Taxpayers subsidize these industries who then take their profits, and we still pay so-called free market rates for their product. It's a classic double dip.
I'm telling you, dog. We live in like a monopoly lifestyle, a monopoly world. It's just a game. It's just a game.
Britney Spears, Jim Carrey, and Kylie Jenner have all listed their LA homes just in the last month. The mansion tax that is being implemented now in LA requires if you sell your home for over $5 million, you have to pay a 4% transfer tax. And if you sell over $10 million, then you have to pay a 5.5% transfer tax. So think about it like if Britney Spears sells this home for $20 million, she will have to pay a one-time $1.1 million transfer tax. So the city of LA aims to raise over $1 billion from this transfer tax in an effort to fight the homelessness crisis in LA. So while this may not be good for celebrities and those purchasing homes over $5 or $10 million, this could be a big step towards financially helping the housing crisis in LA.
I don't think so.
Most mortgage lenders won't tell you this, but your mortgage payment can and will go up. Because mine's going up. And that's because my property taxes are going up. As your home value increases, your property taxes also increase. Mine are only going up about $20 a month, but here's what to look out for, especially if you're buying a flipped house. When houses are recently flipped, the city hasn't reassessed, and they don't know that the house is worth way more now than it was earlier this year. This is a house up the street that is for sale, and the assessment from last year was $110,000. And also note, the market value up here is never going to match the assessed value. But they were assessing the house at about $110,000 for 2022, but now that house is worth about $250,000 because they totally flipped it. So when you close on the mortgage, the lenders are going to go by like the 2022 or 2023 tax year, which is going to be about $1,300. However, next year, whenever they have reassessed the house, the property taxes are going to go way up. For any properties that have increased value significantly in the same year that you bought, the prices next year are going to go way up. So new construction homes and recently flipped homes. So beware of that.
Shout out to her. Even though I don't own a home, she's like giving some hold on. Ouch. She's really giving some good advice. I don't know. Let me see if I could go back. If you look at the top, right? It says at the top where it says sold, that was February 19th of this year, 2023. $130,000 for the home. Dog. It relisted on August 3rd, 2023. It went up $120,000, dog. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's probably a flipped house. Let's keep going, though.
Earlier this year. This is a house up the street that is for sale, and the assessment from last year was $110,000. And also note, the market value up here is never going to match the assessed value. But they were assessing the house at about $110,000 for 2022, but now that house is worth about $250,000 because they totally flipped it. So when you close on the mortgage,
it was because they flipped it. That's why. Wow.
the lenders are going to go by like the 2022 or 2023 tax year, which is going to be about $1,300. However, next year, whenever they have reassessed the house, the property taxes are going to go way up. For any properties that have increased value significantly in the same year that you bought, the prices next year are going to go way up. So new construction homes and recently flipped homes. So beware of that.
Wow, shout out to her.
As Black people who have been hurt continuously by the city and country it loves, it ain't our responsibility to take care of everybody else.
Outbursts, at times so heated, police had to step in. We're talking about city council today and a vote to spend $51 million on helping migrants here in Chicago.
No way. What is this garbage?
Dana, strong feelings all around.
Yeah, Erica, and for many different reasons, among them the fact that this $51 million approved today is only a short-term fix, and more money will be needed in just weeks.
We cannot continue to falsely pit communities against one another.
Deep emotional wounds coming to the surface, and anger.
We don't want to have to recall anybody. We don't want to have to protest anybody, but we are not going to be ignored, Brandon. Mayor Johnson.
Many in Chicago's Black community and the city council speaking out against spending $51 million to house migrants, asking when will the help for them finally become a reality.
And it cannot be put on the backs of the residents of Chicago without showing them that they're getting something out of this.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, presiding over his second full city council meeting, had to ask for calm more than once.
Will the Sergeant of Arms please restore some order?
Police also intervening at one point to allow the meeting to proceed. Ultimately, the measure passed with 34 votes. Many who voted to approve the money, like 49th Ward Alderwoman Maria Haddon, call this an immediate crisis that needs attention. But, she says, so do concerns of the city's black residents.
Why are black people in Chicago and some communities so angry? Why is all this kind of anti-immigrant sentiment coming up? And I want to explain to folks, it's because if we cared as much about black people and had over the decades as we do about everyone else, we wouldn't be here.
Get the fuck out of here.
But the money from a 2021 budget surplus will only last 1 month. Many alderpeople say it's time for a long-term plan and some state and federal help. With that, should taxpayers be concerned?
I think we should all be concerned anytime we're having to utilize this level of resources on a temporary situation, especially with not a real sight of federal support coming.
All right, that's it for that video. If you guys didn't understand the last video, so basically the U.S. are planning to spend $50 or $51 million of U.S. tax money on housing immigrants, to house migrants. But the reason why black people in Chicago are protesting is because we basically, I guess they are paying they're paying taxes to the government, and then the government is going to use their tax money to house migrants instead of using that money to better the community, do this for the community, do that. So I don't know if you paid attention. The lady in the beginning, she was basically saying they are taking care of them, basically, instead of the government using their money to take care of black people, if you understand. So it was basically like an unfair situation that's going on. They don't want the migrants to just be homeless or anything, but it's not fair that they have to use their tax dollars to fund housing, to fund the housing of migrants, if you guys understand. So that is it for this video. I hope you really understand what's going on. If you watched to the end of this video, shout out to you. I'm not that too fond and knowledgeable about taxes, and I'm not that much knowledgeable on taxes. I am young, but I do pay taxes because of course I work. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because some people in the comment section are saying like, oh, you don't know what you're saying in some of the videos, this, that, the next. You don't want to gain a big following, and next thing you know what you're talking about, and all that little success starts to fizzle down and go somewhere else. And I mean, at the end of the day, yes, people will eventually go anywhere they want. They may get tired of my videos, but I make sure and I become one and real with everyone, and I tell you guys in my videos that, hey, I may not be knowledgeable in this type of topic, but I would like to go over it and see you guys' comments in the comment section. And I try and make sure I comment to the people that needs comments, the comments that basically I would eventually respond to. You understand? And yeah, I make sure I like all of you guys' comments and stuff like that, but I will tell you guys during the video that I'm not that knowledgeable in this topic, so I may not give an authentic reaction. But I love the support and I love the motivation in the comment section. I hope you guys reached this far so you could hear this section of the video, this part of the video. But without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Needless to say, everything will be okay. My name is Josh Creates. I'm out.